Hey, what's up, Liron here, and in this episode of Painting Masters, we'll review paintings by Frank Francese. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Francese. An amazing watercolor painter for a multitude of reasons that I will share, obviously, when we look at the paintings, but the colors, the transparency, the strong saturation are just among the things I really love about his work. Very clever shape design. I look at this as kind of an iteration on the last episode of Painting Masters, and this time we're going more towards a more accurate representation of reality, but still quite loose, quite impressionistic. I think he really is able to capture the atmosphere and the vibe of a place very well, and in a relatively unique way as well. And also there is a video of his on YouTube painting. I think it's a 6-part video. I will link it down below. You may want to check that out. A very interesting technique, pretty straightforward, but a lot of skill behind it. So without further ado, let's look at his paintings. Okay, so as with all artists that I really enjoy, we have quite a lot of paintings to go through. I think about 14, and I saved one of my favorites for the last, as usual, but my favorite one is this one, and we'll actually get started with this. I couldn't stop myself, couldn't resist from putting this one first. It's just beautiful. The colors are genius. I love the harmony. I love how they work together. I love the combination of simplicity yet an excellent sense of light and shadow. This is really, in my opinion, one of these rare paintings. It just works, and I love everything about it, starting from these purples and the yellows, which are beautiful complementary colors. The people here with the strong reds, oranges, great composition, plenty of interesting elements. You get a lot of vertical, horizontal lines, a couple of diagonal ones to break patterns. Let me show you. We'll zoom in a bit here. The birds, it's just genius. And I think one of the things I really like about his work is how smooth it is. If you look at the sky wash, it's very smooth. There aren't any, awkward backgrounds or anything like that, because he knows the shapes he's going to paint and he just puts them there, large enough of a brush. Just fantastic. Now, I do know he's a member of the Transparent Watercolor Society. I believe there is such a thing, but these aren't transparent, many of them. Like if you look at the dome here, all of these yellow lines are not transparent. Same goes for this. Obviously was done after the fact, but who cares? It's beautiful. One of the things I love about him also is the use of strong blues on shadows. So if you look at the shadows on the white walls, they're very blue. They're very cool. Same goes for this section here is just genius. Look at this. It's yellow where the sun is, but it's really cool and blue in the shadow. So fantastic work, really fantastic. And I'll try to keep it short for the next ones because I don't know. Now look at this one. The proportions, when the drawing isn't perfect, as long as the rest works, like things fall into place, no one cares about it. Like these people are way too tall for these cars, but who cares? They're way too tall for these buildings and the doors. Who cares? It just looks fantastic. Now, for this one in particular, I will try and mention something I really like about every painting. What captured me is just the overall atmosphere. Like I can actually imagine myself being there, and I don't know, I feel the vibe of the place, whether it's the city, whatever it is. I just love it. I think also one thing that he gets beautifully is the details without going too overboard. So look at all the shingles in the roof. How easy would it be to make this pattern and make it not look good? But for him, it works. It works really well. It feels natural. It doesn't feel out of place or anything like that. One more thing I want to add is look at the windows and how he makes sure to put a lot of interesting colors into every window pretty much. Like look at this window right here, right next to the edge of the painting. Just fantastic. These blues here, oranges, turquoises, greens. Every window has something interesting about it. And the birds, obviously, that's beautiful. But the windows here really captivated me. Also, the people in their clothes. This is really nice. And I have seen similar works, but not exactly. His style feels pretty unique still. Very tropical colors again with this one. I love these probably sailboats. Lots of interesting colors, lots of freedom, dynamic movement. Look at these palm trees, how he gets those leaves in and just a swoosh of the brush. Some blend, some stay very sharp. I think the key here is edges in many of his works. The thing that keeps the moving, aside from the colors that are beautiful and very vibrant and tropical, is that movement of edges. You know, plenty of blended edges next to more reserved and clear and sharp edges. And it's funny because he kind of reverses it on this one. You get the elements that are in the foreground, these sailboats or whatever it is, the sap, I don't know what you'd call these, they have a very blended edge up top, but the background itself has a sharp edge. So that's really interesting. I don't know, I find that really interesting that you'd expect the background to be more blurry, but he does it the other way around, and it works really well. Now look at this one. This is fairly unique in that the looseness of it is a little greater than the previous ones. The previous paintings are a little tighter. Here you really get a blending of elements, so you can't really tell where this tree ends and where this building begins. It's very all over the place, but it still works and it looks beautiful. Sorry if there's a bit of a background noise, by the way. It still works and looks beautiful. And what I love about this kind of a messy work is how he chooses some areas to show the shapes, not properly, but to show them a little more in isolation. So look at these cars here down at the bottom. He really carves these out of shapes. And the people, you can tell that there are people here, you can tell that there are cars. The rest is kind of a blur. What this leads to is me traveling freely, my eye traveling very freely along the paper, but then it stops here where the cars are, where the people are, where the clearer details are, which is, I think, a fantastic way of leading our eye. Here's another one, beautiful, a bit of a different approach, I would say. This actually reminds me a lot of Peter Schiller's work, the line and wash work. He shares a lot of them here on YouTube. But one of the things that without a doubt sticks out for me and stands out for me in a really positive way here is the sky wash. This is so nice, getting all of these beautiful swirls and patterns. It looks to me like the sky was thoroughly pre-wet, so it was really, the water was moving. It wasn't just moist or slightly wet. The paper was actually very saturated with water, and this leads to a lot of dynamic movement here. To get this kind of a movement, you need a lot of water, and maybe he probably played around with the angle of the paper, helping the paint move. The rest is just shapes, just very smart and clever shapes. Placing them in the right places leads to the impression that you get here, and this is just fantastic. I love how this small cabin puts the size of this building and the tree in perspective. I don't know if it's real or accurate, or he changed stuff around, but it's just beautiful, beautiful. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so just to prove it to you, I was able to find one that is a little more subtle with the color harmony, and I would say even a little more realistic. Let's zoom out a bit here. Look at this. This is so clever, and you can tell when you look at these paintings, you can tell that there's a lot of experience behind them. But very often you'll see similar paintings that have very strong and saturated colors because they run away from nuance and subtlety because it's harder. You know, I sometimes do that too. This painting proves to you that he can do that as well. So there is a lot of experience that goes into doing all of the paintings you've seen so far, and I think here the more subtle qualities of it become a little more obvious. Very subtle color harmony and a very specific atmosphere, I will say. I can really feel like I'm being there, and I see these beautiful houses from outside my window. Just really smart, really clever works. Here's another one, a little more of a, I don't want to say cliche, but a more common one you'd see, common type of a scene. But even in this common type of scene, look at his excellent control of this wash here. It just moves downwards. It all moves downwards, and it's beautiful. He probably put in very few brush marks. This could be just 1, 2, and 3. I wouldn't doubt it, because I've seen him use a very wide brush. So he may just put the purple, then the red, then the yellow, helping them move downwards. When I think he's using hot press paper, so this actually connects with another video that I don't know if I published or I will publish about lifting and blending dry edges. The way he did this, he may have very well lifted back. I'm not sure. It's a bit hard for me to tell, but he does seem to be using he does seem to be using a hot press paper, so it may be easier to lift. Here's another beautiful, beautiful landscape. I love how the sky is a little even stronger. It's darker in the water, obviously, and also stronger. It's even a little more saturated in the water, which is interesting. You don't always see this. Sometimes the water mimics the reflection mimics the reality in a bit more of a muted way. Here it's the other way around, which I really, really like. And look at all the edges, just so clever. So much movement and action going on, and you have to balance all of these sharp lines. Look at all of these sharp scratched lines, probably scratched them out with like a credit card or something similar. And how he combines these with the more blended and blurry side here. Just very clever. This is more of a Velasquez palette, so kind of French ultramarine, burnt sienna, maybe a bit of yellow ochre, or maybe a stronger yellow, like a nickel yellow, azo yellow, something like this. Here's another one. Very clever composition, in my opinion. You see all of these small houses, very small part of the scene, really gives the feeling of a scale and being surrounded perhaps by mountain ridge, by cliffside. It's very clever. And how he approaches the color harmony as well, I think, is something really interesting. Because very often you'll get the, blue in the background, a little bit of warmer colors in the front, and I'm guilty of doing this way too much. But here there's a lot of thought that goes into this. Like, look at these trees up close. It's blues and reds and greens, and then in the background you get more yellows and more yellowish greens. So it just shows that there are plenty of ways of doing the same thing. And I believe this may be animals. I'm not sure. Maybe cows. Maybe a bull here, I don't know, but it's just so nice. Here's another one I wanted to share with you just for the pure atmosphere of it, and getting that angle. It looks like we're looking at them from above, and the people and everything. Just seaside, beautiful seascape. I love these. I just love the feeling of being there. And it's something that it's really hard to express in words. It's really hard to explain what causes this feeling, but it's just there. Here's another one. Look at the sky, just yellow. Just yellow for the sky. Maybe it's sunset. Look at this shadow. It just goes straight to the left, so it may be a bit of a later time of day, so the sky's a little yellower, maybe golden. Just very, very clever. It's just this sense of being there. That's something that is inexplicable. You really can't explain. This is one of my favorites here, due to this, tower in a building. I think his subject matter is something I enjoy tremendously. Like this, just choosing these subjects from the get-go makes me more attracted to his scenes. Very tropical, seaside, very happy, glowy. Here's again these beautiful movement in the sky. This is something I think I'll try and steal and do more in my works, like to really saturate the paper with water. Maybe also if it's hot press paper, the water bunches up on the surface and you get more movement with less, the paper is less thirsty. It's less absorbent in a way. Here's really, I don't know why, but this one really stuck for me. Look at the boats here. Like these triangular shapes. These look like, I don't know, pizza slices. It's just so cool. And again, the subject matter, this river or lake or whatever, and the bridge above it. People here, I don't know, all of these ropes. The beautiful turquoises for the windows blinds. It's just so beautiful. I don't know if you connect with it the same way I do, but I would really be curious to see one up close, like real life. I think it would be an interesting experience. Here's the last one I want to share with you, I believe. Yes, I saved it for the last because it's a great indication of his style. I think it's a very good representation of it. It's an interesting subject matter. This tram, I think it goes downwards, and then you just get this lake or river or ocean view. Very clever shape design, very smooth and even washes because he knows what he's gonna paint, so the washes end up being very clean. Look at this shadow here by the tram, just smooth. It's just smooth and beautiful, transparent. The colors sing. It's very bright in a way, and just I don't know. I really, really love his style. I hope you have. I hope you love it as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. And now let's wrap it up. So thank you so much for watching once again. Let me know in a comment down below what artists you want me to cover in future episodes. I built a huge list and I keep feeding it with more and more names. I would love to review your favorite artists. Simply let me know down below. I know there are a few very highly requested ones I have not gotten to yet, but I promise I will try to get to everything. I plan on continuing this series for, I don't know, as long as I can. So thank you so much once again. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to drop a like again if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you still aren't, and I will see you again in the next episode and in the next video.